Welcome, everyone, to the March 10th Subcommittee meeting for Workers' Compensation. We're a subcommittee of the Economic Matters Committee, and today we're finishing one bill, which is HB. Welcome, everyone. Wait. It's HB 501. Where we left off last time, over a week ago, was we talked about the bill, and there was some interest on the part of a couple of delegates to perhaps work on amendments. The office did not receive any amendments, and so I assume there are no amendments at this time. I did invite Mr. Carl Alman here from the Workers' Comp Commission to give us a little background and be available for questions. And Mr. Alman, welcome and thank you for coming. I think there are two questions I'd like to start off the discussion with. The first is, you're familiar with the bill and what the bill does?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, so do you as a commission have the ability now to pay attorney's fees on medical claims of this nature?
Yes,
or to order that they be paid?
Yes, we do. We have pretty broad discretion in that. And we, I believe last year, made some modifications to the regulations that clarified a little bit of the circumstances under which the fees could be ordered, and the commissioners are fully aware of the problems that sometimes arise where those fees would be appropriate and they could order them.
Okay. Do you see any problems with the process that the commission uses now do you see any time where you feel a claimant could not be given what they need, they legitimately and fairly are entitled to in order to settle a claim?
I think that sometimes, yes, I think sometimes there are problems, but I don't think that that legislation necessarily helps fix that in any way. I don't think any legislation helps fix that, because oftentimes you have people who come in without lawyers, or maybe they used to have a lawyer. And the biggest problem that we see that comes up is when maybe a lawyer has passed away or is retired, disbarred even. And that means that the person, that injured worker, is kind of left hanging. And in those instances, it's a little bit more difficult. But it's not the difficult in the fact that getting a fee for a lawyer who comes in to represent them. It's a matter that they usually come in to represent themselves. And that's the process that is that we find a little bit cumbersome. But we then encourage them and offer them an opportunity to postpone the hearing until they have a chance to go out and get a lawyer to come in. And that isn't always an easy process either, because sometimes the lawyers don't understand that maybe there's not a large fee involved with coming in for a medical case. I mean, even in this situation, you're talking about an amount up to $2,000. There will be some lawyers who wouldn't do it, who wouldn't find it beneficial for them to do it.
Does the commission have any plans to look at this issue or feel a need to look at the issue in the future?
Yeah, I think that we will probably do that. I've heard from counsel on both sides, from the trial bar and also from the defense bar, indicating that maybe we could tweak the regulation a little bit to make it a little bit easier to accomplish this goal, which is to make sure that people have adequate counsel with them when they have difficult issues before the commission. And we are always willing to work with them. It's a small community, and we work closely with the lawyers on both sides to make sure they run as well as they possibly can.
Thank you. We have a question from Delegate Ernst.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Alman, how are you, sir? Good to see you.
Great, good.
You and I have had a number of conversations about a particular instance, and My big thing when I saw the bill, it kind of related to the instance that we talked about. And my biggest concern is these guys, like this person, he's out there hanging. He doesn't have a real vehicle to get help when he needs it. And you know his issue as far as attorneys and what that caused him and how it was very difficult for him to get another attorney because they weren't getting paid. My big thing on the bill is, does this bill address that issue, or is there the process and the changes that you put in effect in the last year, have they addressed that issue?
Delegate, I think that the change put into effect should be able to fix the problem that your constituent had in terms of getting counsel and getting counsel who were then paid. But as I mentioned a few minutes ago, sometimes there are lawyers who don't think it's worth the time to do it in that limited instance. Usually a comp case, has a number of steps involved, and there are opportunities to get a bigger fee, but it's also a matter of, representing the claimant from the beginning of the claim until the end of the claim. And there are some lawyers who feel pretty strongly about wanting to make sure that they're there for all of those steps along the way and not have to sort of make up for things that may have happened before that over which they had no control.
Is there a vehicle for that problem that you just said we have sometimes? Is there a vehicle within your system right now for them to overcome that? Meaning, is there?
I think there is. And even if a person comes in pro se without benefit of counsel, we work with those people to try to make sure that it's not unfriendly or so overly cumbersome that they can't get the medical treatment, or at least address the issue of getting the medical treatment. I'll be perfectly blunt with you, though. Sometimes the problem is the injured worker has a lot of other, may have a lot of other medical issues that they think are related to the one that happened at work, but a medical professional has said that they're not related, and getting them to accept that is not always easy.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Delegate Mouts, followed by Delegate Chi.
Yeah, and Chairman Allman, I think Delegate Ahrens went over a lot of my questions, and I don't mean to be redundant, but this issue really caught our attention, and I'm not sure the particular case in mind was an extreme one that's near and dear to anybody's heart who knows this person had a horrific situation. But in the backdrop, that those particular cases where you've got a claimant, a person who's injured, they've had their original disposition, they've got medical issues, and then 10 years down the road, they're trying to get a hold of their attorney, and the attorney, they've got an issue with their attorney. That issue, I'm not sure if that's what you and Delegate Ahrens were discussing, but that's something that's been brought to me is, it's a problem with the attorney. And then once there's not satisfaction with the attorney, then the argument is, well, I can't get another attorney because the other attorney won't get paid. What is your response to that? And I'm not for or against either side, but this is just information that I pick up and hear, and I'm interested to hear your response to that scenario.
Thank you. Let me also just, as an introduction to that, is to say the fees that we talk about have all been guided by COMAR, by regulation. This would be the first time that we have something that's statutorily mandated. And I think that kind of muddies the water a little bit. So I think that it makes much more sense to do it by regulation than it does to say, to pass a statute that then you have to refer to two different places to accomplish a goal. Notwithstanding that, there are situations where if you get additional medical treatment, you could have a worsening of condition, and you frequently have a worsening of condition. that comes to the attention of the commission. And if that's the case, then there is another opportunity for a fee to be paid on that increased permanency. I would say 99% of the time I see this, if once there's a permanency in a case and you have additional medical treatment that happens after that, there's usually an additional permanency award for additional funds for the claimant, and therefore a fee could be gained by the lawyer for that situation.
Mhm.
The situation that we're talking about that we tried to address with the regulation with the $2,000, well, actually we don't have a dollar figure on it even. It's a special circumstances. Claimant comes in, says, okay, this is what happened. It's a medical only issue. The commission can order that, a lawyer be paid either by the claimant or by the insurance company or by, or the self-insured employer. Regardless, we have that capacity. But the key is that it has to be under special circumstances. They've got to show why it is that this is why it should be done this way, as opposed to being done in the context of a regular comp claim. Or was the fee that's already been paid not enough to cover what was already, the work that was already done?
Yeah, I think you just answered my question. I'm very familiar with this, the problems with putting some of these things that need to be flexible in the statute and the problems that the consequences of doing something like that. But thank you very much for going through that with me. That was helpful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, Delegate Chi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So from what I've heard, it sounds like there are a lot of nuances that will probably be better worked out through the regulatory framework. So I would like to actually move unfavorable on this bill.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes. So I was just going to say, I had asked Madam Chair to not even hold the meeting. I didn't know that, but Mr. Almond was invited. So good to see you, Carl. With that said, I had discussions with the proponents and was told that there is ongoing conversation with Mr. Almond and the commission, and that if I wanted to hold it, but I'm thinking, if just as a courtesy, Madam Chair, if I could request, just so I could validate with the proponents, because I put this in on their behalf, and they're the ones who reached out to me and said that there is ongoing conversation and there may be no need for this. But if that would be okay with you, I would appreciate that.
Thank you for that. We do have a motion on the floor that we're going to need to vote on.
Okay.
And I would just say that we're running up against crossover. We've heard from all of the parties. I think everyone here has enough information to make a vote if they so choose today. And, if there is something that they're discussing, it could certainly come back next year if the motion fails or if the motion is passed. So I think at this point, we need to go ahead and vote on, we definitely need to go ahead and vote on the motion, and then we can see where we are.
But,
so the motion,
well, it's going down.
Pardon me?
I said, yes, I know where it's okay. Let's proceed.
Okay, so the motion is to move the bill unfavorably. And Ms. White, will you call the roll?
There I go.
Delegate Rogers, did you have a question before we call the roll? Or what were you?
I did, Madam Chair. I just wanted to ask, is it possible for the sponsor to withdraw it?
It's up to the sponsor at this point. It's certainly possible. I think maybe we vote on it and then you can make the decision.
Yeah, I mean, it comes every year. Well, I put it in every year for the proponents. I don't think I'm going to withdraw it. I'll just,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that offer though,
Delegate
Rogers.
Thank you, Delegate Rogers. I appreciate it.
All right, we can call the roll now.
Okay, and I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. Delegate Arntz,
Aye on the unfavorable.
Delegate Impalaria,
Aye, only unfavorable.
Delegate Mounts,
Aye on the unfavorable.
Delegate Chi,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers,
Aye on the unfavorable.
and Delegate Valderrama.
as a courtesy to the proponents, I will be a no on the unfavorable.
So that is 5-1, 5 yeas, 1 no on the unfavorable.
Ms. White, I wish I knew the answer to this, but is the chair supposed to vote on a subcommittee?
Not unless the chair wants to in order to break a tie, and in this case, there's no tie.
Okay. Thank you. So to the committee, thank you for your good work today. And Mr. Almond, thank you for being with us. And we'll continue to talk about this issue, I think, in the future. And Mr. Almond, if your commission does this work, please try to keep us informed as to the outcome. And if you need anything from us, let us know. And thank you, Ms. White. And we are adjourned.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.